guys, my name is Michael and welcome to a new GTK tutorial. Today we are going to move on with our GObject series and we are going to check what's the story with these functions, or at least some of them. I'm not going to check all these functions because we need some examples, and at that point when we come with those examples we are going to update this playlist as well with the rest of these informations which you get here about these functions and so on. Okay, so that being said, what we have here, let's see. GObject, we have functions about these three functions right now. We are not going to talk right now. This is not the time, but we can start with those macros. The first one is gtype is an object. Check if the passed in type ID is a gtype object or derived from it. So as you can see, basically this macro what does, it is called another one which says gtype fundamental type, it is equal to gtype object. So basically this does, it's a faster way of setting things. And then we have of course the GObject which says cast a GObject or derivative point into a GObject. So in other words, as you can see, it is calling another macro which is checking the instance cast from your object based on the gtype object. Depending on the current debugging level, this function may invoke sincere runtime checks to identify invalid cache, which is good, which you should always use it. This basically what does any possible call of runtime checks. For example, if you need to pass a label, instead of casting with traditional C cast where you get only a cast without checking and so on, you use G label cast and then it will be checked. The same thing happens here as well. You just cast the object with a G object and you are fine, because it will be a runtime check for you, which takes measurements that you are doing the right things and you are not messing with something much more complicated. And then we have GObject, where you can check whether a valid gtype inside pointer is a gtype object. So in other way, if you for example create a function and then you want to be sure that the function offers you the right object, then you can call the gReturn if fail and you pass this call and you say GObject and the object. If the object is not an object, then your function should not run. And then we have another things like classes and so on, but until we get there, let us see what's the story with those three which we did. So for this, I'm going to say I'm going to call the first one what we need. It is of course the GObject type, this one. It says get the type ID on an object, so the object to return the type ID for. Now this is the first one which we are going to call, and for this we need the gtype. We didn't talk too much about gtype. We are not going to talk right now, but I'm going to create a playlist about gtype as well. And of course we need an object. I'm going to take the button right now. Now calling this function, or basically this macro function on the button itself, we are getting its type. Once that we have the type, which is very important, now we can call the second function, the next one, which says gtype is object. Now we can use it. Says check if the person in type ID is a gtype object or derived from it. So this is what we need to know. Does this one being derived from the GObject? And for this we are going to say if gtype is object, and then because it needs a type, we pass it the type which we got it right here from the GObject type. And now to be sure that we are not doing something wrong, we are going to say gprint, and here we're going to say true, else if something goes wrong, gprint false, which means if we land here we have no object type, which there is from the GObject. Let's see what happens. And as you can see, it says true. Of course it's true. So this is the way how it's working. We got its type. Once that we have its type, we can check its type with the GType is an object to be sure. Just think about something. If you are creating a function, let's say void or whatever, and you pass here your type for something, yes? And then inside the function, you are expecting, of course, a type, so you are going to declare a GType, and to be 100% sure that that GType it is the type you needed, then you do these things. You get the type after you create a function and inside its definition, and you say if GType it's a type, then work with it, else bang, wrong, go out. So basically this is all the story what are for us interesting right now. Now of course we have for example type name right here, because if we got the object type, you can get also the object type name right here, and says gets the name of an object's type. So the object to return the type name for, and it's the parameter, and the return it is the thing which returns, it's the type name of the object. The string is owned by the type system and should not be free. So you do not need to call gfree. In other words, we can say true. We have, let's say, %s, and what do we have? We have the call of this macro, which, as you can see, the GObject type name. What does this one? It is calling the GType name, which is this time a function. It's not a macro. You are going to work a lot with this one. I did also in some videos. And once that you call it, you see even GType name, it is passing the GObject type to be 100% that is working with it. So you see how many complicated things are done here and how easy is working with this macro. So basically this macro does what you need. So GObject type name, I'm going to call it right now, and of course now we need the object, which is the button. And now let us see what's the object name of what's the object type name of this button. True, we have a GTK button. Well, now we got something which we used to get earlier with GTK widget get name. For example, GTK widget get name, which is very important for you to understand it. I wasn't supposed to talk about it, but it just came me something in my head right now. So, which is very important for you right now. Let me show you something. True, we have %s, which is also %s. So let's see. It says, as you can see, it says true, we have GTK button, which is also GTK button. What's the main difference between those two? Well, it is a big difference, and you will notice later in other videos. Let me show you something. GTK set GTK widget set name. I'm going to change the name of the button on something else, another name, whatever. And the button, of course, I forgot the button. Now watch, I changed the name of the button, and then we get the name of the button. This is very important for you to understand. Now you get the actual name which you set it for your button, you see? Now we got a different name, but the only way how you provide the name of an object, it is not by relying on the GTK widget get name, because GTK widget get name gets its default name as long as there is another other name set. Once that it is set, then GTK widget get name is not equal to GObject type name anymore. So if you need to extract some information based it on the name of the object, then you probably already noticed that it is not working the way maybe you thought. So if you are important just to retry the name to work with it, then call GTK widget get name. If you need to retry the name of an object, base it on some information for example from its class or something, then you will see that GObject tylename does the thing which GWidget getName didn't. But until you come there, until I'm going to provide some examples in the future, you just stick with these two things and just try to understand where the difference are between them. I'm going to compile it to run again just to be sure that you understand. As you can see, we have a GTK button, which is also another name, which is true because we changed it to another name. But at this point, another name and GTK button are two different strings with two different names. And if you call now, for example, string compare on those two, it will fail because now we have another name from our object, another one than the default one which was gave when you create the object. That is very important for you to understand. That being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.